Okay, Zera Shimshon Parshas Noach. We're going to do the second piece. I'm actually cautiously optimistic. We might get through the entire piece in just one video. Let's see. This is the second piece in Parshas Noach. Right. The Medrash El Todos Noach Noach Ish Tzadik Tamim. Right. So the Medrash is on that pasuk that Noach was a perfect tzaddik. So the Medrash says, "Kol kuv chav shana enoteros v'makatzon v'len kedein amar lahon kach amar mori amadu ma'asim olama." For 120 years, the Noach got the nevuah that there will be a mob 120 years in advance. So 120 years, he is planting mighty cedars, then cutting them down and building. And people said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Look, the master of the world is bringing a mabul, a flood on the world." Amru. So people told him, "Iati mabul, ati ela besai gaver." If there'll be a mob, like say, it'll be on your house alone. You'll be the one swamped and drowned, not us. So they said. Vikshu, I'm a Forshim. So the Forshim on the Midrash, of course, asked the obvious question. It doesn't make any sense what the people are saying to Noach. Listen, unless they're totally reality challenged, they know that they were bad and they weren't keeping at that time was only six mitzvahs of B'nai, six mitzvahs that were given to Adam, because people in that generation started to be vegetarian. God help us, right? Can't imagine life like that. Noach got permitted to eat meat and therefore got the prohibition of not eating Avram and Achai, not eating an organ that came from a living animal. But prior to that seventh mitzvah was that there was no place for that seventh mitzvah because they weren't even allowed to eat meat at all, right? So they knew they weren't keeping the 6 out of 7 that they were already commanded in. And they knew Noach was behaving himself. He was like the nerd that didn't go to any of their dirty parties, right? So why would they think if there'll be a mabul, it'll be on you and not on us? Right. V'yesh lomar, so we could answer Disa B'Zera Parshazu. It says in Zohar this week's parsha, pays Anam Beis in the standard Vilna edition. Noach was indeed not a perfect tzaddik. He did have a sin. What was his sin? He didn't pray for the people of his generation, like Moshe davened for the Jewish people every time they screwed up. Well, it was Cheda Ego, Cheda Meragim, many times. Moshe was always davening for them. Noach didn't do that for the people of his generation. Right, and we know that this is the case because Noach did get punished. At least one form of punishment was they got a bad rep, in the sense that the Mabul was named after him, as the Navi says, "Ki mei Noach zosli." From the days of the waters of Noach, Hashem says, "I swore never to destroy the world," and it's also I swear not to destroy the Jewish people that he's going to speak about extensively in the continuation of this piece, right? So the Mabul was called Mei Noach, the waters of Noach. It was, as it were, the Mabul was pinned on him because he didn't daven to save the people of the world of his generation, right? But there is also in the Zohar someone that says that still Noach did have a rationale why he didn't daven, because Moshe, he and the Jewish people are descendants of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Like Moshe Rabbeinu indeed invokes his tefillah, remember Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So he had schus avos, and he could say, remember the avos. Noach didn't have it, Noach did not have righteous parents like Am Yisrael did, that Moshe Rabbeinu could invoke the avos and their schuyot. Noach did not have righteous forefathers the way Moshe and the Jewish people did. So he could not, he had no schus to invoke, and also he had scenes from the Lashon he brings from the Zohar, relying on him for a way bizarre. Also, since he didn't have, great tzaddikim as ancestors, there was no message passed down about, caring about your generation. It sounds like there's two things: him not having righteous ancestors, there's no schus, and also no mesorah of arvus and davening for your brothers and sisters. Okay. Okay, so now, if so, in light of this Zohar, says the Zera Shimshon, we could say Shador Shanoach Hayu Sovrim Shanoach Hayoli Spalem Shlo Yovdu. The people of his generation, they may have been wicked, but they weren't stupid. Right? That's the main difference. This is my video. I could say what I want. We all the bad stuff from the days of Noach have come back. We are really back at the days of Noach. The injustice, the perversions, the legalized theft, everything. Everything. The tohu vavohu, the lawlessness and the lack of boundaries in many ways, borders, boundaries, all lacking. Physical borders, moral borders. Okay, we're back to Noach, but the difference is at least they were smart. People here have totally no moral and are stupid. And if you want to be really stupid, you want to give yourself a lobotomy, go to an Ivy League school. That's where you get a free lobotomy. I guess that's not free. All the tuition you pay, they somehow screw with your mind. A boy could be a girl, a girl could be a boy. Oh, and Hamas, they are... they have the moral high ground. That's it. That's Ivy League education. Yeah. So at least the people know they may have been evil, but they weren't stupid. And they know, hey, Noach, you should be davening for us. You should be davening for us. And you're not davening for us. You're just making a teva to save your own skin. So you're uncaring and you're selfish, right? So right? People that's a person that's a person who is uncaring and selfish deserves to die alone and everyone else to be saved. Also, bring a raya. He comes up with a raya. He comes up with the raya, the Zera Shimshon, right? That we find like Mordechai told Esther. Moshe Sholach Mordechai Esther, like Mordechai sent to Esther. If you'll be quiet, you want to save yourself and not speak to the king about the Jewish people, which, by the way, the Stam Melech in Megillas Esther is referring to God, right? It's only if it's Hamel Chachashverosh. Just when it's just so there's no doubt in my mind he has that in mind when he's saying this. The more not meaning you won't go to the king. Therefore, neither going to Achashverosh nor davening for Am Yisrael, right? So Revach Vatzola, right. So what was Mordechai say? If you're going to think that you're going to be saved. Right, that's exactly what it says, black and white. I'll tell you, because you think you'll be safe from the rest of the Jewish people's fate by being in the house of king. If you're quiet and you don't speak out, neither to the earthly king Achashverosh and neither to heaven, seems that it's being implied, you'll die. And so basically, Mordechai's taina to Esther is what they were taining on Noach, right? You think you're going to save yourself and you're not going to down for us? That's not the way it works. With the standards that God has for tzaddikim, you, the tzaddik, you're going to go down and we're going to be saved. Right? Mamish, they timed it. That's what he wants to say. They timed Mordechai's time on Esther is what they timed it to Noach. It's a lumdish sefer. It's not, it's being very misrepresented out there. Okay, it's a very lumdish sefer. Lumdish drushim. What I'm reading, and there's the Gemara in Tainus, Daf Yudaf from Adal. Doesn't seem sure, but sorry, Yomar Adam Elch Beis V'Sham La'Nachdishi Lord Nechos Tibur. Gemara Furesh also that if a person sees Am Yisrael suffers, well, got nothing to do with me. I've got a bunker. I'm going to go to my bunker. A person who says that and is not part of it, doesn't participate in the Tsar of the Tzibur, he will not be zocha to see how the tzibur will be redeemed. They will be redeemed, and he won't be zocha to see it. And over here, it's even worse, as far as Noach, because he could easily daven. Right? Right? And the Gemara says, it's this Gemara in Shabbos, but it might be more than one place in Shas, right? A person that could protest and doesn't, right? So he has, he is the sin of the people of his town that he could have protested. He didn't. That sin is credited to him, for lack of a better word. Sin is attributed to him. He's nitfas because he could have protested. He's saying, kind of, me'ain that you could have davened and saved them, and you didn't, right? It's kind of like being able to protest what they're doing and not. So just like over there, you don't protest, the sin is on you. Also, you could have davened to save them. Maybe it also means to daven that they do tshuva, right? And you didn't, so their sin falls on you. Right, so now seemingly in the Gemara in Makos, the unintentional murderer, he is stuck in Golus until the Kohen Gadol dies. What's the guy do with the Kohen Gadol? Yeah, well, the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim perhaps in general, right? They should have been davening harder. There shouldn't be any unintentional manslaughter. They didn't daven hard enough, so it's their fault. That's why he has to die. So the unintentional murder have his tikkun, because a certain way it's his fault. He didn't daven hard enough, that the mishap, the unintentional manslaughter, should not have happened in the first place. And then the Gemara goes on to say, at least according to one lashon, according to him it's one lashon. I don't have the Gemara in front of me, right? That also that's why the mothers of the unintentional murderers, the mothers of the Kohanim used to send food and goodies to all the unintentional murderers, in their shelter cities, in their Arei Miklat, that they should not daven for their sons to die. Right? Why should God listen to such prayers? Because the Kohen had a little bit to do with it. Because he didn't daven strong enough that should be schus to prevent involuntary manslaughter from happening in the first place. Right? Or according to one lashon, they should daven on the Kohen Gadol. They shouldn't die. Okay. But either way, the reason why the Kohen Gadol is in danger, so much so that the mothers of the Kohanim used to have to bribe and send goodie packages and food and clothing, right, to the unintentional murderers in their shelter cities. They shouldn't daven, that the Kohen Gadol should die. Why is it his fault? Why? Because he didn't daven on the door that this shouldn't happen in the first place, right? So that's how much guilt there is on not davening for the door. Therefore, that's where the people of Noach were coming from. That's what they were thinking. They said, if there's going to be a mabul, it's going to be on you. Right? You say, we're a Rishayim, you're a tzaddik, and you're not davening for us, and now that you're building a teva just to save your own skin, you'll be the one to be dying, and we'll be the one who save. Right? So now, that we still have to say, why didn't Noach? Let's get into Noach's head now. He wants to go to the other side argument. So let's understand Noach's side. Why did he daven? What do you care? Daven. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But daven, try. Right? So let's say what the Zohar says. Right, that in the one lashon that the Noach didn't think of doing it like Moshe, because Moshe at least had schus avos to say he could be toilet in, right? You could empower his tefillah with inserting in the tefillah about the schus of Aaron Yaakov, and Noach didn't have that. So what? All right, that's not an excuse to let you off the hook. So do it without schus avos, see if it works. So what if it may not work? No sin in trying, as opposed to not trying at all, which is a sin. Right? This this is like what the Gemara says in Brachas, over there. This is why there's a Lumdish Sefer and needs to be well explained. He says cryptically, it's like that Gemara in Brachas that Yeshayahu Navi came into Chizkiyahu and said, "You're going to die. You're so sick." Yeshayahu visited, tell him, "But you're not recovering from this, right? You are going to die, right?" So Chizkiyahu and so Chizkiyahu said, "Why?" So Yeshayahu said, "Because Chizkiyahu tells Chizkiyahu he is guilty of not doing peruvu. He didn't want to have kids." So Chizkiyahu answered Yeshayahu, "I have a good reason why I didn't want to have kids, because I saw in Ruach HaKodesh that's going to come Menashe, who's going to be a big Avodah Zarah, really one of the worst kings of Judah we ever had, right? So I've got a good reason. I see Ruach HaKodesh, my kids are going to be really bad news, and that's why I'm saving the world." And Yeshayahu tells him, "No, you have to do what Hashem told you to do. He gave you mitzvah. You just do it. You do your job. God does his job." So he's invoking this Gemara to say that if it's the right thing to pray for others, so Noach, you do your job. You see that it's not going to help, none of your business. You do, just like Yeshayahu Navi told Chizkiyahu, you do your job. So what if there's no schos avos? So the tefillah won't work. So what? It's none of your business if God will accept the tefillah or not. Do your job of davening for others. All right, so we need to come for the stronger justification why Noach didn't daven for his generation. I mean, justification in Noach's head, because it's a weak svara that he just didn't daven because it won't help, right? Because do your job whether it'll help or not. So to further say, we could further say to back up where Noach was coming from. The Bereshis Rabba ala pasuk. It says in the Medrash Rabba and Bereshis in Parshas Bereshis that the Bnei Elohim saw the Bnei Sodom Kitovas. They saw, these Bnei Elohim were these fallen angels, I do believe, and they started, having improper relationships with women, with ladies, earthly ladies, the Bnei Sodom. They sort of were very good. So says the Medrash on this, HaKadosh was willing to have patience for people to do tshuva for everything except znus. Right? Promiscuity has no tolerance for it. He does not give an extension to do tshuva when there's guilt of promiscuity. Right? So he said, maybe this is what Noach was thinking. One of the sins that they're guilty of is promiscuity. Right? So promiscuity, God has zero tolerance for. So now, tefillah, you need tefillah, he explains, I should say this. What he means to explain is you need tefillah as opposed to, you need tefillah to save you, right? As opposed to medicines or as opposed to just waiting it out, right? Tefillah is not just that the sickness should end early. Tefillah helps for a sickness that, is no cure because you have sinned so much. That, that's it. You deserve to die, right? So tefillah helps to get an extension. She helps get an extension when, you've hit the limit, right? That's when, when exclusively you need tefillah is for those times when, you have no merit left, right? Because if not, the merit can extricate you from the problem, right? But you have no merit left. You're out of merits. Your measure of avera is full. So tefillah gets you an extension. Okay, but what if the sin, part of the severity and the penalty of the sin is that there are no extensions? That tefillah doesn't work at all, categorically. Right? Tefillah gets you an extension when all merit is expired. But for znus, there are no extensions. So it's pointless to daven. It's almost against God's will. God says, I don't grant extensions for people who are guilty of promiscuity. So there's no davening for them because the tefillah gets an extension when the merit has expired. But that doesn't work by promiscuity, where God, part of the severity of the sin and the penalty thereof is no extensions. Right? So why should I daven against the divine will that doesn't want to grant an extension? Why should I ask for an extension? God doesn't want to give an extension. Right? That's A. And B, we could further bolster it that, what's going on in Noach's head with the simple idea that they were also very guilty of theft. Now, theft, davening doesn't help, because theft is an avera ben adam lechavero, between man and his fellow man, right? Well, daven, give back the stolen property. No daven. Now, we know this. We didn't have Yom Kippur too long ago. So, Yom Kippur helps for everything between you and God. Between you and your fellow man, you got to make amends. Pay what you owe and ask for forgiveness. No, so tefillah is non-consequential when you're guilty of theft, which is avera ben adam lechavero. So Noach had two good reasons why he thought tefillah won't help and would even be against how God wants to be noyed. So asking God to conduct himself differently than the way he wants to conduct it, because for promiscuity, he does not want to grant extensions. And for averos ben adam lechavero, tefillah doesn't help. You got to make amends with your fellow man. Ubin zeyivor pshat pasuk. Now, this we explained the pshat in the pasuk. Right? It happened to notice by heart because it was the haftarah of my bar mitzvah parsha. So from the days of the wars of Noach, it's the Navi Yishai says from the Hashem tells the Navi Yishai, from the days of the wars of Noach, I have this. Hashem nishbati, that I promised, that I swore that the waters of Noach should never again swamp the earth. Ken nishbati miksof alach migarbach. So also I swore, right, to never get angry and destroy you. Same way I swore that may Noach, the waters of Noach. Right? Because, even though Noach had his good reasons in his head, still, he was wrong, right? But at least we justified what he was thinking, right? And now he's moving on. So now, it's called Noach because he didn't daven, even though he had all good reasons in his own mind why he didn't. Okay, so Hashem says, May Noach will never pass over the world, right? And I swore that, after the Mabul, never again. So also I swore never to obliterate the Jewish people. That's the psukim that he's addressing. The kasher tova mara litzos elu ashvur ze ze ki mei Noach zosli ken nishbatu sof alayich uma kesher yesh lem yachad v'im zavaz yamushu agos Zera v'chasim itech lo yamut. So he says, so what does that have to do? Ever since the flood of Noach, I swore that the flood of Noach will never happen again, and so also I swore not to obliterate you. Why is this all connected to the flood of Noach? Flood of Noach. Just like I swore not to destroy the world again. Why is it connected to the waters of Noach? No, just like I swore never to flood the world again. Right? What's the waters of Noach? Just like I swore never to flood the world again, I also swore, right, to not destroy you. And also the way the pasuk goes on, right? The mountains may be moved away from their place, eroded with time, and say the hills also will collapse. But my kindness from you is not going to move. Right? It's not going to move. And my covenant of peace to you will not collapse. Right? What does that all have to do? What is the meaning behind all this poetry? Yesh Lomar, so we could say these are b'medrash. It says pasuk Ashor Kol Atzayas Mishpat. When then Avravinu, there's a medrash on the pasuk when Avravinu is arguing with God to save Stone. Right, so Avravinu, has the guts to say Hashofet Kol Atzayas Mishpat. He who judges the whole world will not do justice. In what manner is he accusing God of injustice? Amar Avram b'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avram said before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mat ma'arim al shvuos. Why you're in a trickery way? Yeah, you're saying you're technically non-val shvur, but it's trickery. It's not. It's disingenuous. You are in a disingenuous way circumventing the shvur that you made. Right? Nishmat she'ata mevi mabul lo, she'ata mabul shamayim yata mabul shesh ata mevi im ke'otzei dei shvur. Yeah, you said you're playing games. You're being disingenuous. You say, yeah, I swore not to flood the world again. I didn't say I'm not going to destroy the world again through fire. I'll bring a mabul shesh, which is what he brought down on stone. So everyone was saying it's disingenuous. I won't destroy the world with water, but I can destroy things with fire. That looks like a disingenuous way of just, trying to get around the shul. Right. So Vine Beshvush ba Karshul. Okay, so with this you already answered. Why May Noach has to do with the Shvua. You say, all right, actually, we're going to let him talk. Okay, so let's take it step by step. He builds things up. Right? Now, the truth is like this. Flash forward in history, right? When Am Yisrael did the Egel, and Moshe Rabbeinu asked for mercy, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu invokes Zechor Lavroi Tzok Yaakov Asher Nishbata Lehem Bach. You swore to them, right? I'm gonna increase your kids like the stars in the sky and like the sand on the banks, right? And stuff like that. Right, and also give them the land of Eretz. So remember what you swore to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Moshe Rabbeinu says. Now the Rebbeinu got an out. He couldn't get around the oath and say, "Hey, I only swore if these children of Eretz will be tzaddikim like they are. If they're not tzaddikim like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, I'm not bound by the oath. I made the oath for tzaddikim. I didn't make the oath. I'm not oath bound to descendants of Eretz who are Rishayim. God could have easily said that." Right? And truth is, indeed, that's where God was coming from. The only reason why the winning argument of why God didn't destroy Ego was Moshe Rabbeinu's argument for his God for your own sake. Right? Why should the Egyptians say, God took them out to kill them? Right? It looks bad on you. Okay, that's a good taina. But as far as the shvur to the avos, right? I swore to them if their kids will be like them, not if the kids will be Rishayim. So now he goes full circle. Right? So now because of the waters of Noach, that I swore that the waters of Noach will never cross over the earth. So now also, to read the part of this, he's saying, Noach, truth is, God is saying like this. Truth is, I only swore not to destroy the world with water. That's indeed. Noach. Right? The truth is, I only swore not flooding the world. I didn't say I wouldn't incinerate the world. Right? And that's what God is saying to the Navi. I only swore, right, not to destroy the world with May Noach. That's why May Noach is mentioned, right? May Noach. I only swore waters of Noach. Waters of Noach will not pass the world. But I could incinerate the world. Why not? And still I won't, because it looks bad. Looks like I'm being disingenuous and trying to get around the oath on a technicality that's not exactly the same words as the way I swore, right? Right? In Cain, Mashish Pat Godlach, Yevshal Arim, Lo Mashlosh Pate Okshem, Rishon Guim, Mashwatz Cholson Bishat Siasego, Yor Maber Uma Mizera Moshe, Shayagam Hu Mizeravus, was that Shabain Shtei Ashvus Ele. Right? Right. Right. So now also, when I swore to the Avos, right? That I'm going to, always, multiply your kids and give the land of Eretz Yisrael. All right. I have the habit of not getting off on technicalities and not, skirting around. So I could easily say I only swore if they're tzaddikim, right? But not if they're Rishayim. But I still, just like by the flood, I only swore about water, but still I won't destroy the world with fire either, right? Because it looks that was disingenuous about the original oath, even though I have a technicality of getting around it. But I don't do that because it doesn't look good. It looks like being disingenuous, and, circumventing the shvua in a disingenuous way. So also what I swore to Am Yisrael, to the others rather, that I will always, increase Am Yisrael. I could easily say that it was only if they're tzaddikim. And not if they were showing, but still, the way I am, I don't I don't want to seem disingenuous and like I'm trying to get around it. So I'm even going to keep this shvua, even if Bnei Yisrael are Rishoyim. Okay, so if that's the way God is, so why, if that's the way God is, so why did he indeed really have a hava mina to wipe out the Jewish people by the Chet Ego? Says here, well, because it's because he could fulfill his shvua to the Avos with Moshe Rabbeinu, like he indeed offers the right? Hashem, when he said, I'm going to destroy Judah, and Moshe, I'm going to restart the Jewish people with you. So that's how it's legit. It wasn't a getting around the shvua on a technicality. I will fulfill the shvua with you. Right, so Kodesh Baruch Hu indeed is never disingenuous. Never wants to appear disingenuous, because even though he's right, he has the law, the letter of the law on his side. He doesn't do those things because it looks bad, right? And that's what he's telling the Navi, referring in the future, right? That he's just like he upholds the shvua to Noach, even though it was technically only in water. He even upholds it regarding not incinerating the world. All right. So also by the Jewish people, even though he really only swore to the Torah Jews if they're tzaddikim, he will also uphold the oath even if Am Yisrael Rishoyim, because he doesn't want to look like he's being disingenuous about the shvua in any way, shape, or form. So we'll keep it. So if that's the way God is, why indeed did he want to wipe out Am Yisrael by the ego? Because it's nothing disingenuous. Moshe Rabbeinu, I'll restart the Jewish people from you, and that way I'm totally clean. I upheld the shvur to the Avos because you're a descendant of the Avos, and we're going to restart the Jewish people from you. Right? So now you might say like this, but wait a minute, based on what I'm saying right now, that there's an out clause for God, a legitimate out clause of his shvur to never destroy us, right? And never abandon us. There's an out clause as long as there's one tzaddik that's left. God could say he's restarting Jewish people from that one tzaddik, and he lived up to his end of the shvur. All right, so to answer that, he's constructing an answer of why we don't have to worry about that. He's trying to reassure us, because if based on what he's saying now, God could easily just spare one Jew and restart Jewish people from him, and that's not good news. So that message of the Navi, I'll never be disingenuous. I won't even appear to be disingenuous, but there's no problem whatsoever. He's not even appearing to be disingenuous if he spares one legitimate descendant of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, one real one. It could all start from there. So there's not much reassurance in that thing. I will never even appear to be disingenuous. That doesn't help us, because he could wipe out everyone and just leave one Jew. That's not good. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu foresaw that, in this game of chess with God. As where he foresaw that, and that's where when Hashem tells Moshe, "Leave me and let me destroy Ami." So Moshe says, right, "Zachor Avram Yitzchak Yaakov," right, and he said it in response to God saying, "Now leave me, I'm going to destroy the Jewish people." So no, Zachor Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu now invoking Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov when clearly it's not a winning argument? Because Hashem says, "I'm going to restart the Jewish people from you," right? Ela varay tzarach lomar shekamas Moshe Yisrael lomar HaKadosh Baruch Hu shebazeinu yotzi yidei shvos shegenayu lo v'salom shelo yil schusam levad ela b'shtat of schus acher imayim. Because we b'hayid armim makish osroim en yochol lamod. Ve'ose kein varay am nikra marim al shvur shos lo kiblu oto shvur machshava zu. Mater shekshem shebo so pam chazaba mechazal kein torah shloim klal shvur. Little Baruch HaMeir said, "Come b'parshas Ve'er." So Moshe will kill up with a chap, right? Moshe says, okay, you don't want to seem disingenuous, right? Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, when you swore to them, what do you think was going through their heads when you took that oath to them that the Jewish people will have a big nation because of them, because you guys are so special, because that I swear you're going to have a huge nation come out of you, right? So You're swearing, the way I understand what he's saying, you're swearing to us, but we still need the merit of yet another one, right? So he's putting a spin on the famous medrash. In a roundabout way, he referenced the medrash that Moshe Rabbeinu tells God it's a bad idea to destroy the Jewish people and replace them with me. Bad idea. Why? Because the Jewish people was a three-legged chair. It stands on Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and the three-legged chair couldn't stand. Now you're going to restart the nation with me. I'm just one leg. If a three-legged chair can't stand, certainly not a one-legged chair. Right, so he's taking that argument, he's taking that medrash and molding it as such. That Moshe is saying, what? So what's your argument, God? Okay, so it's the schus of us plus Moshe, and now it's a four-legged chair. Is that what you're thinking? It'll be a four-legged chair. The others thought that you were swearing to them because they're so good and they're such big tzaddikim. Their schus alone is good enough. You're saying no, it's their schus plus my schus. That's not what they were thinking. When you swore to them about how they will have a great nation that comes out of them, they thought because of their schus, they were very, for lack of a better word, flattered by the great offer, because it seems like it's because they're so great. Now you're saying they're not so great. They need a fourth leg. They need Moshe. That's not very flattering. That's probably not what they were thinking. They were thinking that, in my schus, I was such a big tzaddik that Hashem is swearing to me that I'm going to be the progenitor of a great nation. All right, so they knew that that they needed all three of them. Avram Avinu already got Avram Avinu already was saved from the Kivshon Aish. I'm adding some words to what he's saying over here. Avram Avinu already got saved from Kivshon Aish in the schus they was destined to have Yaakov. I think the others were aware that they're a tripod. They need each other. They are the three legs. They are shlosha of us. Right, but fine. But that was it. We're so hot. Just the three of us. The three of us could give kiyum to Am Yisrael, and that's what they thought Hashem was saying to them by swearing to them. Well, no, we're not so good at swearing that you plus Moshe. They're going to feel gypped. They're going to feel that they were misled. So it's also kamarim al shvua. It's also like a disingenuous way of getting around the shvua in a different way. That the others thought that they were being Hashem was swearing to them because it's their schus alone. The schus of the gimel of us alone is enough. And now the Rebbe Shalom is saying, "Oh no, it's not enough." They definitely thought that was the nature of the shvua, that you're swearing to them because their schus is good enough, and now you're showing their schus is not good enough. They need the schus of Moshe also. They did not accept your shvua on that basis, meaning thinking that, it means to say. Right? Therefore, now is Moshe Rabbeinu's argument that no, it's also disingenuous to restart the Jewish people just from one Jew, because that one Jew is also a tzaddik, adding to the schus of the others. The others wanted their schus to be good enough to preserve the Jewish people under all circumstances, and if you don't, so you will. So even if you're in the right by the letter of the shvua that you took, if it's according to the letter, it's not what they were thinking. You swore to them. You have to do the point to what they were thinking, right? And they were thinking, right? They were thinking that their schus should be enough, and that's our insurance policy for the future. But that most been argued for us. Restarting Klausel from just one side, which means it's the others plus that one tzaddik. That because that one tzaddik, he will be like the fourth leg, and that's why the Jewish people will stand on that tzaddik. In addition to the others, the others weren't thinking that when they heard the shvua from you. They were thinking that their schus is enough, and that's why you swore to them. Okay. Brison Crusoe Vomesla, Kachamarta, Kol Yemei Oretz, Kozman Shayom Vlachem, Briskama Shiavo, Sayom, Skozo, Lo Dal Hashem, Loyam Vlola, Az Loyo Brishvua, Adkan Lishono. Right. So now, Hachinami, and Yechoim Litos Beshua, as well as Shalote Lolam Elachis Kaim Skos, Avas Karmin, Perke Shabbos, Merisai Thomas Skosas, Bemei Chiskio, Bemei Yom, Shimach Yosef, Kosov, Yomush Vachasti, Sharim Elo Avos, Vakvos, Emo Emos. Shafim lo tzechus avos yeh chasu shakoshku imanu. But kosu tos shapi shelo tama chus avos bris avos lo tov zeh bris shlomi lo samut. So he says like this. The printers did a disservice and broke up the paragraphs incorrectly. So it's like he builds up a question. He's building a point over here. says, listen, God's oath to the to Noach, right? After that, never to destroy the world again. It's not forever. It's only till the end of 6,000 years, because the world will yet be destroyed. In the year 6,000, I'm not going to bring in all the midrashim that he quotes, but he says before Shemesh that Makosh alluded to that. Oh, it's only all the days, as long as you have the 4 seasons, But after climate change, right, it's going to be days, not going to be night. Night, that's going to be day. At the end of times, when the seasons, cease to exist, and night won't be day and day won't be night, like these prophecies at the end of time, the prophecies of the Armageddon, if that's the right way of saying it, right? Okay, the world will indeed be destroyed at the end of 6,000 years. It's so long as the world is meant to last. As long as the world is meant to last, I will never destroy the world prematurely. Right? And that's the pshat and pasuk, and the Medrash spells it out. Okay, so wait a minute. Us, the Jewish people, that we have to make it. I'm adding. I have to explain what's bothering him because he doesn't spell it out. Right, the Jewish people are meant to exist forever, even after this world goes kaboom. Right, we are the one nation that goes to Olam Haba. That's the Ata Mikal Goy Chabar. It's the one nation that was always meant to be the one eternal nation. There's many nations, Meheri Koresu, but there's only one nation that was always meant to be, and that will be Olam Haba, which is the end of Simchas Torah. It represents the 8th millennium when the world is recreated, and only Am Yisrael is there. So. So we have to be forever and ever and ever. But actually, the truth is, but I'm sorry, what I just said is I misrepresent what he said. He actually asked the kasha like this. But although my way is also good, what he's going to answer also helps with what I just raised, right? That we have to exist in Passover Mazeh. But the question he asks is in a similar vein. In a similar vein, this is the question he really asked. I just inserted my own that could also be answered by what he's about to say. Right, but in a similar vein, so just like God swore to Noach, he's not going to destroy the world so long as the world is meant to last. So also maybe God only swore to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov to preserve the Jewish people so long as their schus lasts, so long as their merit is last and not depleted. So never destroy us while their schus still works. Just like God swore to Noach never to destroy the world so long as the world is meant to be. So also Hashem swore to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. In their merit, he will not destroy Am Yisrael so long as they have merit. And Chazal say that our schus of us, we burned up all the credit of us, either according to some as early as already in the days of Eliyahu, according to others, in the days of Chizkiah, we burnt it up. Schus of us, Tama schus of us. The schus of the others has expired. We have burnt it up. We have consumed all their credit. Rahman al-Litzan. Okay. Right. But, right. So that's what the pasuk goes on. Ki arim yamushu v'agmos timotena. The mountains are going to move out of place. They're going to erode. The world's going to be so old. The world's beginning to go kaboom, right? So the mountains move and the hills collapse. But v'chasti, my kindness from you, will not move. Ubri shlomi, and my covenant of peace, right? Some will never collapse. And it's referring to a Tosfos. That Tosfos says, we still mention the merit of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov in all our prayers. Why? It's over. Tosfos answers, schus amos, their merit expired. We already consumed it. We ate up their credit, right? But bris of us, there's something else. There's another thing. The covenant that Hashem made with the others. The covenant that Hashem made with us, that's forever and ever, which answers his question, what keeps us going after schus expired, answers my question, what keeps us going after the world goes kaboom. Bris avos, right? And that's what it says. Chasti mitel. It's not, it's not merit. It's chesed. It's not merit, right? Schus is din. The chasti mitechlosh, my kindness, not din. Din you expired. You ate up all the credit. You ate up all the merit of the others. But the chasti mitechlo yamush, my kindness from you will not move. Ubris shlomi, and the covenant of peace, lo summit will never collapse. Referring to what Tosfos says. Bris of us, schus of us is over, so it's not din anymore. We don't have any existence bedin, but we have bechesed. That's bechesed, and bris shlomi, the bris of us has never expired. As we shall also. But midrash, and that it's not just. I'm not just speculating. Says the Zera Shimshon. It's actually this point is that I'm making when I was writing before the medrash. Pasuk is a medrash in Vayikra Rabbah on pasuk. That's a psukim in Parsha Bechukosai. Right? I remember the covenant of Yaakov and the covenant of Yitzchak and the covenant of Abraham. Eskor, covenant, bris, not schus, bris. Right? If you see that the schus of the avos and imos has collapsed, don't worry, so grab on, appendage yourself to kindness. Okay, so schus is din. You don't have the merit to exist, but you have chesed, attach yourself to God's pure mercy, pure kindness. Dichsiv, as the pasuk says, indeed these psukim very shallow. Right, for the mountains shall move from their place, and the hills shall collapse. Harim, the mountains, Elua Avos. These refer to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Vagvos and the hills, Elumos refers to the merit of our matriarchs. Yeah, so Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Right, these things, may be collapsing, but my chesed from you will never cease, will never move. All right, Kenyi Rotzen, we need that right now. We need that so badly in the time that we're in right now. Hashem help us. But look at this. We got a whole shtickle Zera Shimshon done in one session. Okay, we don't, as you know, from braces, we're not always that lucky. It's long pieces, so don't be, my friends, do not be taken by these charlatans good that give you like 3 lines and these retarded sheets. This is the Zera Shimshon. This is the way you should learn Torah in general. And then if there's any big schools promised, then only if you learn properly will you get these schools. And we both should help that the school of the Sefer, school of Talmud Torah Bichlal, and Koshken, they quoted the Zohar, that the Zohar is, as you know from other series that we're doing now, is very misugel, to sweeten the dinim and raise the Shechina up and get us out of Gos Birachamim. Kenyi Ratzon, this concludes the Zera Shimshon for this week. Everyone have a good Shabbos.